Hey scholars, Miss Crum here. You should have just finished your Illuminate. Let me get you set up. You should have just finished your Illuminate assessment. Hopefully you used your sketchbooks, you used your great notes, and you aced that. Today is going to be an asynchronous lesson. So you are going to just follow along with the video. Today you're going to establish your personal aesthetic by curating your design studies so we can create that final composition that expresses what we find beautiful. If you look at the examples right above me right here, you'll notice how everything is kind of broken up into those different shapes. That's exactly what we're going to do, and we're going back and using our original design studies as the puzzle pieces to put together. So to be successful today, you have 4 things you need to do. You're going to, of course, work the compass with integrity. Be your best self for our substitute. Make me proud. You're going to curate and combine your strongest designs. You only have to choose 6. You're going to curate and combine your strongest designs based on criteria and your personal aesthetic. You're going to translate that new abstracted design onto a plain sheet of paper. And you're going to choose a color scheme and start modeling your composition with color value. Now, I may have you wait on starting the shading. The biggest thing that I want you to do is just make sure that you have your new design put together and you've copied it onto the new sheet of paper. Your grade today was your entrance ticket that you just did. So here's some examples of what our compositions could look like. Some glows that I would definitely give is you can clearly see all of these positive shapes, and the value is modeled in a way that looks 3-dimensional. That's the skill I think that looks really cool that we're going to show in our work here for our designs. So what is an aesthetic? I want you to write this down in your sketchbook. Write down what's in the yellow. Let's go and write it now. Aesthetic just means appreciation of beauty. What looks cool, what looks awesome, what looks beautiful. That's your aesthetic. So our aesthetic is personal to our own identity. What I find beautiful is probably different from what you find beautiful. So what we're trying to do is, what is our style? What is our aesthetic? Please make sure that you write down that highlighted part in your sketchbook. Okay, so how do we achieve an aesthetic? So an audience's first impression of your style or aesthetic, it needs to be crisp, clean, and neat. Whatever your style is, we're going for crisp, clean, and neat. And we want it to be exciting. So we're going to curate. That means we're going to look through, we're going to edit out our weakest designs, and we're going to focus in on our strongest designs. So once again, we're going to pick our strongest designs. You only have to choose 6. And we're going to edit out the weaker ones because, they're not all zingers. That's going to help us find our personal aesthetic. So let's stamp this. We have been committing to mastering all the basic elements of good design. We've worked with lines. We filled in positive and negative shapes. We even started working with value or different shades, just so we can create different effects with our designs. So learning the principles or rules of design, it's going to help us compose more aesthetically pleasing work. So when we're putting our work together, we still want to keep in mind, my composition needs to be balanced. My composition can't all look the same. I need a little bit of contrast and variety in there. Keep those 2 rules, balance and contrast, in mind as we're editing out our work. All right, some other things that you need to remember. You do not need to write these down. Just listen. Color is one of the most important elements of really good design, and we haven't talked about it yet. So the importance of color design stems from the significance of color to the human mind. Color creates different ideas, it expresses different messages, it sparks interest, it even generates certain emotions. Think about blue generating the emotion of melancholy or sadness or even peacefulness. So color can actually sway thinking, it can change your actions, it can cause reactions. There's scientific studies based on this. So as a developing artist and designer yourself, understanding these different color schemes or how colors actually blend and mix and match together, it's really important just to understand how design can be impacted by color. If you look over here, some color and motion guides, some things that stick out to me. Orange and yellow are very friendly, very optimistic. Green, very peaceful. Violet, very creative. Really cool. And you can see actually how businesses used those colors to get those certain feelings from their customers. How cool is that? Smart designers. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Please do not start until we get started together. So you're just going to do this at a zone 0, not with your shoulder partner. This is an asynchronous lesson. You're just working along with the video. By the way, you can pause the video anytime you need to stop, try an action step, and you can go back and play it again. All right, so we're going to use the criteria now for identifying our aesthetic and curating our design studies. So the very first thing that we're going to do is you're going to choose your favorite color scheme and record it in your sketchbook. So take a look above me. See where it says Color Schemes 101? Which color combination do you know that you want to use? Do you like a variety of one color and that's it that you're going to shade with? And that means you're going to write down in your sketchbook 1 monochromatic color scheme. Maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you want colors that are very similar, like warm colors or cool colors. That's what we call an analogous color scheme. So if you're like, I love using warm colors together, I want to use reds, oranges, and yellows, you would write 1, analogous. Or if you liked the examples, let me go back to the exemplar. This first one right here, kind of blues and oranges, we call that complementary colors. Complementary colors are the ones that are opposite to one another. So that's violet and yellow, orange and blue, or red and green. If you like that high contrast, then definitely choose a complementary color scheme. Write down in your sketchbook right now, what color scheme is your eye drawn to? It's part of your aesthetic, what you find beautiful. Great. Cool, we chose a color scheme. Nice. All right, number 2. Now let's start thinking about these design studies. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the designs that were more symmetrical, equal on both sides, like in row 1? Or is your aesthetic, your preference, more asymmetrical, like on row 2 and 4? Write down in your sketchbook, what balance do you prefer? For me, I prefer asymmetry. I like the way things don't have to be the same, but they still equal each other out. That's my aesthetic. Write down yours. So we're writing down our answers in our sketchbook for number 1 and number 2. Pause this video anytime you need. Number 3, oh, that should say number 3, sorry. Do you prefer mechanical lines or freehand lines? Or both? Why? For me, when I look at my design studies, I actually am split. I prefer the freeness and the curviness of the freehand lines, but there's something about like the precision of the mechanical lines with the stencils that I really love too. So I'm going to use both. That's what I would write down. I want you to write down, which ones do you prefer? You don't have to choose both. If you're like, I only want to use stencils, I love the precision of the mechanical lines. It's very easy on the eyes. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Write that down, but tell me why. Okay, now this next part is going to take you a little bit of time, but I'm actually going to pull up my doc cam that you can see. So number 4, it should be, you're actually going to take those design studies that were passed out earlier in the block. You're going to cut them out, cut out your 6 top designs. That says 4, I want 6. I want you to cut out and start arranging how those shapes can start working and playing together. This is going to take some problem solving. Think of it like a puzzle where you're going to cut out 6 of your squares and then start thinking how can they balance and work together. Okay, So this is what it's going to look like. Let me pull this up. All right, so you can see here, whoops, no you can't. There you are, okay. You can see here, I really like these asymmetrical freehand designs I did. I dig them. That's my 3. How many do I need? I need 6. So not that you need a lesson in cutting, but just to make your life easier, I'm actually gonna cut these out. So what I'll do when I'll cut is I'll just cut out the whole row. Take your time. Slice. Once you cut, you can't put it back together again. So just cut on those lines, just like that. Please put that trash out of the way. Don't leave your trash behind either. Please make sure that that trash gets put in the trash can when you leave at last 3 today. Okay, so I'm just cutting out my squares, placing them in front of me. These are my puzzle pieces. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My trash is out of the way. Okay, whew, I've got a lot of asymmetry going on. So I'm not going to try to get things like completely symmetrical, but I have to balance things out. So this is where I get to play. I want you to just start putting shapes together, or lines together. That looks kind of, I don't know if I like that. Actually, I kind of like how it closes it more like this. This looks interesting. So we're just going to start piecing our newest composition together. And that doesn't quite make sense. I don't think I like that there. This is kind of nice. Oh, look at that. It's like I did that on purpose. I swear I did not. Look how the shape kind of continues. That's what I want. I want to kind of connect and continue this design. That's called unity. Let's mix it up. Oh my goodness, it's matching again. This is craziness. I swear I did not plan this. Look how the lines are matching up and it's making this really cool abstract composition. Oh, I'm excited. All right. Now I feel like I have like my mechanical designs up here, so I definitely need to balance them down here. Sorry about the bell. That's not quite working for me. It's kind of cool. So just kind of play around. Ooh. This is kind of nice. See how the lines are connecting and continuing? Okay, I'm kind of digging that. You can see it takes me a second. You can definitely be playing around with this video as I'm working. And let's see here. Kind of looking at this swooped type of design, and I want to try to kind of balance that out so it makes sense. That feels kind of nice because there's that same type of swoop or curved line that seems to connect and continue all the way down here. I'm actually really happy with that. Sweet. All right, so as you can see, that took me a couple of minutes. I want to be like really confident that I'm happy with my composition. My aesthetic means it's beautiful in my eyes. This is beautiful in my eyes. So once you've cut, once you have arranged, this is when you tape. You should really only use 3 pieces of tape. So I'm going to just very carefully tape it on the front. And you'll see that you'll have some tape. Maybe that's kind of, you know, a little bit longer. Honestly, what I would do, just snip it off. That's a lot better. All right, oop. I lost my design. There it is. Okay, cool. So tape it. 1 piece of tape. Don't waste my tape, y'all. Float it so it looks good. Float it, float it, float it. Tape it down. And I want to make sure this is really taped together. So I'm going to put 1 long piece of tape. A little bit longer. There we go. 1 long piece of tape. Now that composition is not going anywhere. I'm okay with a little extra pieces of tape. I'm not mad at that. All right, my friends. So That's the part, that's probably the hardest part. Just deciding, what is my aesthetic? Do I like mechanical? Do I like freehand? How am I going to balance all of these lines? But also, how am I going to connect and continue parts of my design all throughout? Look, I've got the circles connecting, continuing. I have some triangles connecting and continuing all throughout. It is like I know what I'm doing or something. All right, kiddos. So just to stamp it, what you should be doing is you are cutting out your 6 strongest designs. You're arranging them in a balanced composition that makes sense to you, that connects and continues those designs. And then finally, let me move myself up here. You're gonna tape those seams on the front. On the front. That way the back is empty. We're doing that for a reason. Okay? All right. Come on in, I'm just making a recording. Okay, kiddos, so, sorry, didn't get the example up there. Studio time, you can totally do this uninterrupted. I'm gonna just give the directions, I'm gonna show you, and this is what you're doing for the rest of the class. So remember, the reason why we're doing this is first we chose a color scheme that we wanted to use later on. I'm not gonna focus on that today. I changed my mind. The big thing is that we are developing our aesthetic. We created our own abstract composition from all of these random design studies. We brought them together so they're connecting and continuing. And we're actually building our final project. So what you're going to do, just to pace yourself, is you're going to have 5 minutes. I would say that's enough time. You're going to trace your design. You're like, how do I do that? So what you'll do is you're going to cover the back of your taped composition with pencil lead. Then you're going to place it pencil side down on another piece of paper, and then you trace your line. So what happens is it actually transfers. Hold on just a second. I got to grab my artwork. All right. What you can start doing though is actually shading the back of your composition. I'll be right back. Woo, okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Like I said, you don't need to start modeling. If you want to practice modeling, just this modeling down here that goes from a gradual light to dark, you can practice that in your sketchbook. Let's not start it on our artwork. Okay, let me pull this back up. Okay, so to make a transfer, what I was just showing you guys is just using your pencil lead. You don't need a lot. Use the side of your pencil just to start laying out some lead. If you've ever heard of transfer paper, we're kind of just making our own transfer paper. That's why I shouldn't put tape on the back, Miss Crumb. Hey, we live and learn, right? I'm doing this really quick. If you're like, I want to be super precise about this, layer on some more lead. Just don't spend 10 minutes layering on this lead. That's a waste of time. We don't do that. We use our time wisely in our studio. All right, it looks a little bit light on the video, but like I'm really building up all of this pencil lead. Okay, all right. So then what you'll do is you're just going to turn this. I want you to try to center it as best as you possibly can inside the paper. Looks pretty good. And then leave it be. I'm going to kind of hold it in place. Then all I have to do is just trace all of my lines that I've made. Trace. And if you fall out of the line a little bit, no big deal. Let's see if this actually works. This is the first time I'm testing it. Can I peek? Yes, it's kind of making a little bit of a transfer. So I'm already seeing I should have totally added a little bit more lead. Shaded a little bit more onto the back. before I started tracing. But you guys get the point of this. What we're doing is we're transferring this design. Just go box by box. Start over here, and then trace your line. Trace your line. You guys can totally pause this video and start working independently whenever you get it. Or if you're like, I still don't get it, Miss Crum, I want to see what happens. Just wait. So just trace your line design. Oop. Shift it a little bit, that's okay. I'm not going for perfection here. We're just trying to make a nice, easy transfer. So that way I have something to work from. Just trace those lines. I have shading in this one, but now as a designer, you may be thinking, man, these are strong designs, but I may want to add a little bit more. We can do that later along the way. But today, you're just transferring your design. Pretty cool stuff, right? Let's even take this time now, hold it down, to just make a quick little outline of our whole composition. Mine's a little sideways, no big deal. We can always trim off the extra later. Careful, careful, careful. Just gonna get a basic little outline of that design. Let's see if it works. All right, let me peek first. Let me peek. Not bad. Okay, let me make this a little bit dimmer so you can actually see. Oh my goodness, it worked, everybody. The determination paid off. Sweet. Okay, so what I would do for the rest of class, you don't need to keep this, you can take this with you. What I would do is just let's go back and maybe retrace all of these little designs, just really lightly. Just gonna retrace all these designs. And you may be like, oh my gosh, I missed some. That's okay. We can always add more positive shapes later on. But I at least wanted you to feel really confident about the first bit. So, once again, I've laid out all of my pencil lead. You probably need a little bit more pencil lead that I use, and I actually use a regular writing pencil for this. Set it down, trace, make sure you're doing it on the plain sheet, do your little rectangle around, and then go back. It's really light. It's right, so I'm just going to go back and commit to these areas. I'm not adding a bunch of other lines right now because I want to make sure I feel good about my first composition. Honestly, y'all, I'm pretty pumped about this. I love how everything's practically connected and continuing, so it's coming together like this really abstract, cool piece of artwork. Think about it. We started with just 5 basic lines. That's it. That's all we did. We learned how to balance those lines in a symmetrical or asymmetrical way. And now we've curated our 6 strongest, I don't know if that's the way it looked, but I'm going to do that anyway. We curated our 6 strongest designs, put them together to make one abstracted composition. Not too shabby. Oh, one last thing I want you to do. On the back, and we're just using note cards, on the back, please go ahead and put your name very legibly, and then also put your block. So you would just put 7th dash whatever your block is. Okay, so you're gonna put your block. Cool. If you still have more time, go back in your sketchbook, practice that modeling. This isn't my sketchbook, but it's closest to it. Practice that modeling. So I want you to practice. You can start from going dark, blended, circular motion. And without stopping, ease up on the pressure. This is going to be really good practice because this is what we're going to be doing with color pencils. So I just go back. Oh, I see a line, so I want to blend that line out. Practice that modeling. Okay. So your grade was your entrance ticket. You need to make sure you have traced your aesthetic composition. You've traced it. You're ready for it. Your name's on the back when you leave. This goes in the box. Kiddos, make me proud. Rewind this video anytime you need. And I will see you next week. Sorry to miss you today. Have a good one, guys. Thanks. Bye.